My name is Teresa Ranger. Forgot, a little nervous, got to put my glasses on. As president of the Richmond Education Association, tonight I'm here to share with you the many voices of our incredible Richmond teachers. We stand here tonight once again without a contract. Frustrations are at an all-time high. As committed as our teachers are to children of Richmond, it is getting increasingly difficult to come each day to see how the environment has been eroded and harmed by this difficult situation. However, it's very rare that a superintendent would make contract bargaining proposals public knowledge. This practice is rare, and when it happens, it only fosters an environment of disrespect for its employees. I had no intention of talking finances tonight. Rather, I had hoped to encourage a positive spirit of collaboration in hopes we could come together for the good of all. However, due to the distribution of your document, I must remind you that the teachers of this district cost $565,000 less this year than last, and that's a fact. Still, with this savings, the district has chosen to spend unwisely rather than allocate those funds to its most important resources, its teachers. Also, the district talks about insurance savings. Well, did you know that the district pays $250,000 less this year than it did in the 2011-12 school year? Also, the teachers have already offered a plan to save money, and the district has refused. Further, I see no representation of these facts on your handout, and why have our facts been ignored? So I ask you tonight, in the spirit of collaboration and in the spirit of this great community of Richmond, to please stop the games, join us in fairly resolving this matter, and let's start working together again in a collaborative, positive manner that this community deserves. We look forward to mediation on Thursday and hope we can come up with a fair and equitable contract. And on an additional note, I also understand the necessity for facts. The REA will be holding very soon an open meeting for community members, teachers, board members, please, to get our facts from the REA. Thank you for your time tonight.
Hello, my name is Carrie Shagna. I currently work in the middle school and have been teaching for the past 13 years. I've worked in both the middle school setting and the high school, and I've taught over 18 different courses in these last few years. I graduated top 10 in my class from Richmond High School, and have since moved back to the community. My husband and I were both Richmond graduates, and we recently made a huge investment in building our home in this area. So I've invested interest not only in my students, but also in my community. I understand you have to make tough decisions, but please remember to use not only your heads, but also your hearts when making policy. Ultimately, we are all here because we have the best interests of our children in mind. Our school is the center of our community. If we continue to focus on doom and gloom, what will happen to our community? People choose to live here because of the small town supportive feel. What will happen to property values if we continue to forecast negativity? How about focusing on what's working and look at the glass half full? I recommend focusing on searching for positive ways to encourage new families to come and check out what's great here. Search for grants. Do what it takes to welcome people. Thank you for your time.
My name is Gerald Jar. 5 weeks ago, I addressed this board and the community with concerns about our school climate. And after that, I had a meeting with Mr. Walmsley and Mrs. Telto regarding some of those concerns. One of the things that occurred in that meeting is I was asked for specific examples. In some cases, I refused to give some answers because I would not implicate or name my peers. Because as I said 5 weeks ago, people are afraid to talk. The board, and I mean the whole board, you can sit there and say, we want to hear your voices. You can sit there and say what you feel is important. But then don't put down our genuine feelings. We are afraid. We are afraid of speaking up. We are under immense stress that has affected our lives in multitude of ways. And I'm going to address that in one moment. But one other thing that came out of the meeting that I had with Mr. Walmsley and Mrs. Telto was that there was a concern regarding communications, and that communication and misinformation coming from the building principals down to the teachers is in fact at the heart of this problem. And I just want to say, before I address anything else, that I find that to be so insulting to my building administrators and to myself. I have worked with Keith Bartels for 9 years and Becky Borwick for 10 years, plus several years before that when she was a teacher. During that time, we have established a relationship that is based on mutual trust and respect. In fact, over the years, I've had many disagreements with Keith. I've gone in his office, either with my own suggestions or questioning his directives. Even if I walked out of his office not getting what I wanted, because that's what all people really want, I still knew that I had been listened to and my ideas had been considered with respect and professionalism. That is not something that I think 2 years ago, Keith and Becky suddenly decided to throw away this collaborative attitude and instead replace it with stress, tension, and fear. So the comment that blamed my building administrators, I find personally insulting. Now, regarding the other issues that we spoke about and specific examples, the last thing that I asked on January 9th, 5 weeks ago, was for the board, and again, not an individual, not just Mr. Walmsley, not Mrs. Telto, for the board to find a way to talk to us in a non-threatening way that we felt safe answering. I also brought that up at the meeting I had with you, and I was told at that meeting, well, that has actually been discussed prior, back in the fall, but we wanted to wait until January when the new board members were in place. I really didn't understand why staff perception needed to wait for the new board members, but okay. However, it is now 5 weeks later. There has certainly been time to develop such a survey, especially if planning for it had already begun. My colleagues want their voices heard, like that parent said. And we want to be heard by someone who will listen and not just shift responsibility. It's the state funding. We know that is horrible. It's the downturn in enrollment. We know that's an issue. Those are issues with every single school district in the state. But every single school district doesn't have staff that's afraid to talk. I'm sorry. It's emotional, like I said. All members of this district, teachers, custodians, secretaries, bus drivers, superintendents, and school board work for this community. And the community does have the right to know what our views are. And if some people, whether in the community or in the district, are offended by social media being an outlet for those views, then we need a better outlet. So, with that in mind, a survey has been sent to all of the Richmond teachers. And hopefully, at the next board meeting, we will have a summary ready to present with you with the results of 6 very simple questions that are being asked. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jody Schroeder. I've taught in the district for 24 years. Actually, most of the colleagues that I started teaching with are now enjoying their retirement. And every once in a while, I get to run into them, and we reminisce about the past. And I'm so glad because when I do that, I have the opportunity to remember how much fun it used to be teaching. Lunch hours were hysterical, talking about just everything in our lives. Mornings before class, we were able to talk about our lives. After class, we were able to. My conversations with them usually open my eyes a bit, too, because I do remember the days when I wasn't so tired from lesson plans, I-CAN statements, unannounced walkthroughs, and observations, NWEA testing, data from NWEA testing, DRA assessments. I feel bad for the younger teachers that are standing up here who don't have those memories that I have of teaching. I'm also tired of the disrespect from the state, but mostly tired of the lack of respect the lack of respect for what we do each and every day here in Richmond. You don't know this because you're not in our rooms every day. You have lives and you have jobs that you need to go to. But we have teachers that arrive here at school at 6 a.m. in the morning, and some that are still there at 6 p.m. at night just to accomplish what is expected of them. This doesn't even account for the work that gets taken home or is done on the weekends. We have several teachers that come in on the weekends and work. You have teachers that have not let their students suffer when classroom supply money was taken away because they dip into their own family budget to make sure that the students can be prepared to learn. You have teachers that make connections with their students, buy them coats, clothes, boots, etc., because they care. They call parents in good and bad times, answer their phones and emails at night or on weekends because their students are their concerns. You have awesome teachers here in Richmond, and it's time you acknowledge it, not by wearing a slogan on a t-shirt or by saying at a board meeting that you do. I consider those empty gestures. You need to live it in your actions. Doing the right thing is seldom easy. Just ask any one of us. We've been doing it since August of last year.
This is literally like my worst fear right now. I hate public speaking, but I think that I can't continue to just sit back and just let a few voices be the voice for all of us. I think we're all feeling the same way. I'm here to speak about the lack of respect I feel that there is for teachers in the district. There's a real constant fear of losing my job. A feeling that I'm being watched for like the littlest little thing, like maybe having my classroom door open and getting written up for it. This creates a great anxiety for me, which then affects my family greatly and affects my students greatly. The teachers in this district feel disrespected. For me, it started with the book that we were mandated to read, Change, You Go First. As I read this book, I came across a line that resonates with me and sticks with me. The line was, sometimes we need to weed the garden. Since then, we have watched as the garden has been weeded in what feels like an attempt to continue to weed that garden with unfair, untrue, and subjective evaluations of our seasoned teachers. Instead of looking for the good qualities of these highly effective teachers, we are constantly being marked as minimally effective. There are many reasons that I feel disrespected. There's some smaller ones, like monitored copies until last week, locks on the copy machine, mandated closed door policy, even when it's hot. It's hot in the fall, it's hot in the spring. We need to open those doors to let that air go through. Imposing a Halloween parade, even though we had concerns about it, they were totally disregarded. These are some of the smaller, but they're still important issues that contribute to the feeling of disrespect. On a bigger scale and on a more personal level for me, last year, among others in the elementary building, I was one that was involuntarily switched grade levels without any explanation. I received this news via email. This should have been a personal meeting with me, not through an email. That contributes to me feeling disrespected. It worked out for me. I love second grade. It's actually the grade I had always thought of myself teaching. However, in the meantime, nobody ever checked on us teachers. No one asked us what we could use for our classroom to support this move. I walked into a completely empty classroom, no supplies. Some of the curriculum pieces were missing. The equipment was broken and not there. I even asked for some of them to be replaced, and I was told it was not in the budget. I asked for early meetings with my mentor so I could plan for the school year. I was denied this. My earliest meeting with a mentor was in January. My second one was scheduled in June when the school year is over. Tell me how that helps a teacher prepare. When I asked, I just got denied. No conversation, just no. This just adds to those feelings of disrespect. I was outright asking for what I needed to be successful and was being denied. This added to that feeling that I was being set up for failure. Weed the garden. For the past several years, I've been working towards my master's plus 15. This is difficult to do with 3 young children at home and all the demands on teachers these days. However, I felt like that would benefit me both professionally and personally. The coursework was directly related to the students and families of this district. Personally, the completion of this coursework would have allowed me a lane change and a pay increase for my financially struggling family. Though I have been with Richmond for 12 years, I remain at a step 5. When you take my snow days and furlough days that you take from me, that's a step 4. The lane change that I earned would have been a pay increase to help my family tremendously. My husband and I are both teachers in low-paying districts, and we are financially struggling to make ends meet. I have astronomical student loan debt that will not be paid off until my own children go to college. With the pay cuts, pay freezes, 3% the state took from us, increases in our insurance costs, paying for supplies and materials out of our own pockets, and never making advancements in the district, keeps us struggling to make ends meet. This lane change that I earned was denied due to the contract expiring. I had all the coursework completed prior to that contract expiring. I was waiting for my official transcripts to turn in. That's the proper paperwork that is asked for from the district. The fact that the district feels that this was the proper way to handle this was a direct kick in the teeth. It shows exactly how disrespected I am as an employee in this district. I still work within the language of that very contract that expired and that denied me my lane change and some financial relief for my family. It's shameful. I have value, and I am not worth less than others that do the exact job that I do. To conclude, this all feels like just an assertion of power and control. It's a very hostile and threatening work environment. This is not a team working towards that common goal to provide the best education we can for our students. There is constant fear by many that they will be the next to be weeded from the garden. Thank you.
Anybody else? Sorry, I don't have the right thing on that. I just feel like I need to speak because I'm a parent and I'm also an educator, and I hate public speaking. But here you go, I've shortened it. My name is Lenore Warren. I'm very involved in the school district. I'm very involved in the community. Here we go. I've been an educator for 25 years. I have taught at 3 schools, a small Catholic school, a small public school, and a very large public school currently, Chippewa Valley. My school that I teach at is larger than the whole district of Richmond, just to put that in perspective. So I understand things are a little different where I am at. But basic treatment and the respect of teachers shouldn't change no matter where you are holding a position.
The way that these teachers are being treated here in Richmond is very disappointing. The tag team evaluations, the ridiculous paper allotment, the obsession with locked doors. I could go on and on, but I'm just going to say a few other things. Again, I am an educator for the last 25 years, and some of the things that I'm hearing from some of these teachers would never happen in my district. They just wouldn't. And they've never happened to me personally in my whole 25 years of education. What I'm asking you here is please do what most of your shirts are telling you or saying. Love these teachers and give them the respect that they deserve. Thank you.
Mr. Walmsley, you can see this on YouTube. You can take notes then. Pay attention to them now. Give them your body language and your eye contact. 18 years ago, my family began on Gleason Street, across from Dairy Queen, of course. Now I have 8 children, either in the district or graduated. My teacher experiences range from, I won't say their names because they're scared. I also worked as a Title I parapro for 8 years at St. Peter's, which is in this district. I have seen many, many educators in my 18 years as a parent, and I can tell you that these teachers are the best I've ever encountered, bar none. I can stand here tonight and express my personal concerns about Mr. Walmsley establishing a hostile work environment for our teachers. I can also tell you that my personal concerns about the effect of those hostile work environments on our children. This is something I've seen with my own eyes. Fact. This is something these teachers sacrifice everything to give to our children, even when it means taking away from their own. You guys as parents here of our community, you need to know that these teachers are amazing and that they're scared. I can say that I have several neighbors who are teachers, and they'll still be safe because there's so many of them that are my neighbors, so they won't be targeted. But I stopped by her house. She was looking over her shoulder. I just stopped by to give her a hug because I can consider her my friend, and she's scared that I'm in her driveway because I'm on that page. She was scared. I had to convince her, I'm just your neighbor, I'm just your friend. Right now, I'm just your neighbor, I'm just your friend. I have teachers up here, I won't name their names, but, they have my phone number, I have their phone number. They've been at my children's graduation parties. They've visited my kids when they're sick. I can't even tell you from 8 children how many encounters are standing up here that I've personally had from my kids. Gifts at graduation. They've come to their graduation parties. They don't have to do that. They send notes home. Mrs. Ranger, I can say Mrs. Ranger, she got my son through our divorce. I didn't. She did. He cried in her classroom because he couldn't cry at home. She got him through that. Mr. Murphy, he's the reason that my son's at college. And he's the reason he's on the president's list at college in his first semester. Not me. As she said, they're spending more time with our kids than we are. We all realize that. And you guys are up here patting yourselves on the back for a job you signed up for. You guys all signed up for those jobs. So don't pat yourselves on the back. Don't make us feel bad for you. You signed up for those jobs. And if you want them, you want us to feel bad for you and take your spot, why don't you guys come take their spots? You can't. You can't take their spots. No one can. And you're going to lose them if you guys don't change. I've seen the hostile work environment with my own eyes. Before Brian Walmsley fired me on my 80-whatever day, I've seen the hostile work environment. I know for a fact Margaret Telto burned my timesheet. I know that for a fact. Unprofessional. Unprofessional. Stating a fact. stating a fact. You state that you treat your teachers with respect and dignity. You treat your staff with respect and dignity. You burned my timesheet. That's not cool. My mind is blown. I'll end on my mind is blown. Blown that I heard the fact that the teachers were considered minimally effective, yet Mr. Walmsley was considered highly effective. Someone enlighten me on that. How are they minimally effective? I hope to hear your answers soon. And to the community and to the young parents, you won't find any better staff. You won't find any better teachers, you won't. You can look, you won't find them. But they need to be embraced, they need to be appreciated, they need to be respected before they're gone and it's too late. Because then it's going to be too late for our kids.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Slavik. Sorry, I have a cold, like Chris. I do want to thank you, the board members. One of the things that I came here tonight for was to find out about the cost of Macomb. Up until November of this year, I had 2 students here at Richmond Community Schools. I'm down to 1. My daughter, in 11th grade, decided to leave Richmond. We did a pro and con thing for 3 years, deciding whether or not to stay here. The number one thing of, your positives and negatives, what we're going to do, the number one thing was these guys right here. The one reason she stayed for 2 extra years in Richmond was because of the teachers. When she sees them now, as a 17-year-old girl, the first thing she does is run up to the staff. I can't imagine my kids being anywhere else, but unfortunately, my daughter couldn't do it anymore. I want to thank you for answering the question about Macomb, because I had never thought about teachers from elementary school being at my kids' graduations. But what do I think about now? That's what I think about. Will they be able to see them at Macomb? I understand that you can't hear very well at McMorran. I graduated at the Silver Dome. I know that was a long time ago. With a lot of us that we can still appreciate that. But that's what worries me. Because they care so much, where will they be placed at Macomb? The other thing I heard about with graduation is that there's going to be the six tickets, correct? But I also heard that they were going to be assigned which seats. What gives, I guess I don't understand that, and I would like to understand that.
I can tell you, that's the Macomb Center for Performing Arts policy. That's how they do it. Their tickets are assigned numbers.
Okay, so we're gonna get, okay, so they're gonna get random numbers. It's not like you're gonna say, oh, so-and-so gets to here.
Each family will get a group of 6.
Right, no, I understand that, but it's gonna be like alphabetical or,
I have no idea. Mrs. Michon is doing that.
oh, I just wondered because I was thinking, one of the things that made me think about that assigned seating thing, and I get the numbers, I understand how that works, is, and this is no offense to anyone here in particular, but there's people that I wouldn't necessarily want to sit with at graduation. You know what I'm saying? It's because of the situation that my daughter was in. There would be families that I would rather not be next to. I don't know if that's something that can be addressed, but maybe that's something that Mrs. Bergeon needs to think about. There are some family issues, and not only that, maybe there's some families that don't want to sit with their own family. I'm just saying, I mean, it's the truth, it's the truth. But the fact that these guys need to be respected, I have seen through the PTA, I've been involved in PTA for 10 years, my kids have been here, like I said, for 10 years. And I can see the morale that has changed in the last, say, 4 years. And I'm not saying that's directly involved with any particular person, but the staff themselves to be stressed like they are, that's not acceptable. It's just not acceptable.
I know I may be very young to be up here right now, but I am older to know the facts. All these teachers helped me through my life of my schooling. I have Miss Duder of my 4th grade teacher right now, and she's helping me very much with my... Oh my gosh, it is emotional. Wow. I love all these teachers. Miss Westerhoff helped me very much. So did Miss Ferguson. Of all of my teachers, especially Miss Schroeder. I have one best friend that's sticking me with right now, and she helps me through my life too. Hi. Just like all those teachers did. I want to support them like they supported me. Thank you.
So, anybody that knows me knows it's really, really hard to take me serious. So I'm going to try and just make this as normal speaking as possible. So, my daughter here, Cameron, she's a 2nd generation Richmond Community Schools student. And we came here last year was our first year. I went to Richmond. It was okay, whatever. I was a teenager. I thought it was like too cool for everything. Right? A lot of my old teachers are here. I see like everybody. You say community, it really is. Like, he went to high school. Her sister went to high school. She graduated a year before under me. I was best friends with Miss Stranger's daughter, and she was going to school to be a teacher. He was my teacher. She was my teacher. She was my teacher when I was in like 2nd grade. And so yes, it is a community. I came back. I didn't really want to, but I did. I didn't like Anchor Bay. And I said to myself, I moved to Richmond Township. I'm going to try Richmond schools, and if I don't like it, I'm close enough to Memphis and Armada. Cameron had Mrs. Westerhoff, which everyone keeps talking about, last year, and she was awesome. She helped Cameron in her 4th or 3rd grade. It's a hard time to adjust. She was new. Miss Ferguson also. And I love it. I helped Ms. Gibson. This is my 2nd year. I requested her. I love her. She's awesome. And when I think about the fact that she's here right now at 10 o'clock, just 2 young kids at home, she doesn't want to be here. You know, she just doesn't want to. I don't really want to be here, but I feel like because of these people, you know, they're the reason that my kid is in student council. She's the president. Who would think, out of my old teachers, that my daughter would ever be student council president? I mean, she's doing so good. All of my kids are doing amazing. They have amazing teachers, and just give them what they want. I mean, they're giving every single one of us. I would never want to deal with as many parents or moms, because moms are like the worst to deal with. They deal with like 20-something of them. I would go crazy every day. Emails, complaining, sick kids. I mean, they're cleaning up puke and getting paid not enough to make a living, whatever she said. She's, you know, trying to get by. And it just breaks my heart. There's no reason for it. Just give them what they want. They're giving every single parent in here what we want. A great education for our kids. Love. I know when I'm sending my kids to school that they're going to be taken care of. If they're sick, they're going to know when they're faking. If they're really sick, Pam and Denise will call me and let me know to come get her. And I don't want to go to Memphis, and I don't want to go to Armada. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm going to, trying to scare you, because I'm not. There's no way I would because of these teachers. So just stop. I don't know if you guys have egos or not. I don't care. I don't know any of you. Just give them what they want. It's all. I mean, they deserve it, right? They deserve it. Yes. Thank you.
Like my mom said, I am, whoa, shoot, like Aurelia said, it is emotional up here. I am student council president, and, whew, and I love coming to school and seeing my teachers with their smiles on their faces. And
She does robotics. Last week after robotics, with Ms. Durst, who had spent 4 hours there or something doing robotics with these kids, she came in the car and said, "Mom, Miss Walters is still, what time is it? 6. Miss Walters is still at the school doing copies." I'm like, why? Why do they have to give all this free time, right? She was really upset. Miss Walters, are you here?
yes,
She is? Okay.
she would.
Okay, whatever, go ahead.
And
Just say that you, whatever you were gonna say. Just, you don't wanna see any of the teachers.
and I don't want to see anyone leave like Miss Westerhoff did. She was my favorite teacher that I've had in the past. And Miss Ferguson and Miss Good, I still come to school every day when I see them. I say, "Hi, favorite subs." And then I always love going in and seeing, I don't know, seeing Miss Ferguson being my sub, or seeing her in the hall. I always love seeing Miss Walters just in the class. And she's always helping me because I have a hard time learning. But she helps me through a lot of hard things. So I just want to see all their smiling faces again.
Okay. We're going to move on to